Hi, this is Friday the 22nd of July. This is the Democratic Alliance Labour Report, our weekly Labour Report. We try and get it out every week. And thank you for tuning in, and please share this with friends and family and business associates. I appreciate it. I'm going to talk about one topic only today, and that's the topic of employment of foreign labour and the crackdown and the problems that we're having with the xenophobia that's following on what government is trying to do. So thank you for tuning in once again. Friday the 22nd of July 2022, Democratic Alliance Labour Report, and this is Michael Bagram, Labour spokesperson for the Democratic Alliance. Well, the first thing I do need to say is that xenophobia is a problem in South Africa. It has been a problem for over a decade. And unfortunately, a lot of it seems to be fueled by the ANC, by the Minister of Employment and Labour, and by some other political parties. There are about 3 or 4 political parties that seem to want to use foreign labour as scapegoats in South Africa. Now, we've spoken about it many times. We know that the unemployment situation in South Africa is becoming more severe. We know officially it's about 35% unemployment, unofficially, and on the expanded definition, it's about 50%. And with the youth, unfortunately, it's over 65%. 65% of our youth can't find jobs. And of course, these people do turn to government, they do turn to the leadership, and they say, what are you going to do about it? Well, of course, government doesn't want to do the hard yards. They don't want to think. They don't want to do things properly. They don't want to actually tackle the problem because it means hard work. It might mean some people putting themselves out. So what do? They look for scapegoats. And scapegoats are very easy to find. And the most obvious scapegoat that one can find in a situation of unemployment is to point fingers and say, if you look around you, you'll see some foreigners working. Those foreigners shouldn't be working in South Africa, they say, and therefore they're taking our jobs. This is what the Nazis did. This is what, throughout the era, we've had people blaming others, blaming the other, and it doesn't work. It never will work, and it can't work. First thing we need to understand is that they should tackle the actual problem, and I'll speak a bit about that and what the Democratic Alliance is suggesting to tackle the actual problem of unemployment, like we're doing here in the Western Province. The second thing, of course, is not to fuel anti-migrant sentiments. That leads to violence, it leads to death and destruction, and it leads to more problems in our economy than we could never have imagined. So those issues need to be properly tackled. And like I said, the Democratic Alliance is tackling it. We have got ideas. We are putting those ideas into functioning units, and it is working here in the Western Province, and especially in the Cape. We're seeing it starting to work. Now, when you fuel xenophobic violence, what you're really doing is you're actually creating a bigger problem, and that is we need more policing. You have people who aren't being functional, even people who have permits to work. We've seen a guy was murdered recently. He had a permit to work. He is a foreign national, but he didn't produce his permit quick enough, and he got murdered by a mob. And this is the sort of thing that you would never expect in our modern era, and especially in a first world country such as South Africa. We're behaving like a third world country. Now, what we do know is that at the moment, the Zimbabwean people, and there are many Zimbabweans in South Africa, many are working. A lot of them arrived here on the ZEP permit, and that's created a major problem because government has now said that by the end of December 22, those permits come to an end. Obviously, people are desperately, the employees from Zimbabwe on the ZEP permit are desperately completing their paperwork. They're going for interviews with Home Affairs, and they're producing letters from their employers to show that they are needed and that you can't get a South African to take that position. And of course, employers are complying with that and trying to do it as quickly as possible. The real issue here is that those who don't have any permits or are no longer valid or not here on passports and with work permits, they need to go back, unfortunately, and then apply externally, because we're going to have real problems, and we don't want anyone to get into trouble. We certainly don't want employers to start facing very stiff fines. I know, and I've been speaking through to both the Department of Labour and the Department of Home Affairs, and I've made some notes, and forgive me for looking at those notes, but they are starting now to facilitate and regulate secure movement of people through the ports of entry in and out of the Republic. Now that itself is a bit of a problem, because as you know, Patricia de Lille built a washing line across the border, so you literally got thousands and thousands of people walking in and out of South Africa without even bending down. They just walked in and out. That washing line is not really effective at all. She's wasted the money. It's pure corruption that went through there. So we need to actually secure our borders properly. Documenting foreign workers, well, again, if people have just walked in, there's no documents, but if Department of Home Affairs got themselves right, they would actually be able to maybe even come up with an idea where you give people an indemnity to come forward, to document themselves, and then to maybe return and come back again on proper papers. I don't know, but there must be a way of doing it. They're looking now at determining the full status of all the asylum seekers. I'm having problems with that, because even when I write to the Department of Home Affairs to check if someone's permit is forged or is valid, well, I very seldom get answers, so that's a problem. The department is now saying they're not going to show any mercy to employers and to the employees. So employers could get arrested, employers could face criminal charges. It's a real problem. And instead of actually tackling the actual problem, what they're doing is they're tackling the employers and just creating havoc. Now, the way to do this is simple. First of all, obviously, secure the borders. Second of all, when a skill is needed, give that person the permit quickly. Let the employer apply, get the permit quickly, and open up. We need more people with skills in South Africa. And it's a simple administrative process. And if the person's got a skill, and they need to actually re-look at that skills list, because again, the skills list doesn't seem to have had much thought either, what is needed and what isn't needed. But from the Democratic Alliance point of view, if the person has a scarce skill, put regulations in place. Say to that employer that you must ensure that the person with the scarce skill is going to train South Africans. Make it 3 South Africans or 2 South Africans they're going to train. At the same time, when a person of skill is employed, give an undertaking that you'll employ people to assist that person with skill. So not only are some getting trained, but others are actually assisting, so you're creating more employment in the country. And I know that employers that I represent as a lawyer are telling me that if they can bring in the correct person, they'll employ 3 or 4 others to assist that person to gain the skills, and possibly 1 or 2 will become as skillful as the foreign person in the country. And that's a way of creating employment. I mean, at the moment, what we have is a situation where the inspectorate are under-resourced. They can't go and inspect business. They can inspect maybe 1%, maybe 2% of the businesses. And of course, many employers are abusing the situation. And by abusing the situation, they're paying the foreigners less. They're not registering them for tax, for UIF, compensation fund, all that sort of thing. We need to clamp down on it. We can't tolerate the illegal activity at all. So to sum up, in essence, let's open to skilled individuals. Let's get their paperwork done properly. And let's add regulations that they would train people to take their place when their skills permit comes to an end. So thank you for listening to me. It's Friday the 22nd of July, 2022. It's Michael Bagram, Democratic Alliance Labour spokesperson. I really appreciate it. Thank you.